Hello, friends, and welcome to the Exploring Washington State podcast. My name is Scott Cowan, and I'm the host of the show. Each episode, I have a conversation with an interesting guest who is living in or from Washington State. These are casual conversations with real and interesting people. I think you're going to like the show. So let's jump right in with today's guest. All right, I am sitting down today with Kristina Paquette. We're going to say that's the pronunciation, Kristina. We're going to stick with it because that's probably the best that I'm going to do. And Kristina is on the board of directors for the Kittitas County Fair, which I didn't even realize that fairs, I guess to be completely transparent with you, you think of a fair as somebody who goes there, right? And you're like, oh, you don't think necessarily about the big group of people who put this thing on every year. So the Kittitas County Fair has a board of directors. Your title here is your marketing, advertising, and the kids' egg zone. Yes. What I want to start off with, the very, very first question from you is, did you start with the kid egg zone and add marketing and advertising, or did they say, hey, you've got marketing and advertising and we want you to do the kids zone? How did that happen? That seems like a interesting blend.
So I joined the board back in 2016. And when I joined, there's a board of directors, there's 18 of us. And so when somebody steps down, whatever position's open, the board can decide if they want to rearrange their titles or what they're in charge of, their area. So when I first started, I was in charge of commercial and concession vendors. So that kind of just morphed into moving into marketing and advertising when that became available, when somebody else stepped down off the board. So the kids ag zone was kind of an addition in the last few years with a fellow board member. We worked on that together to make something fun and free for kids. So, but the marketing and advertising is the one that I've been doing. So,
all right. So before we start, I threw you under the bus right to start. Okay. But before we really start about the fair, what's your story? When we talked on the phone originally, how'd you get involved with the fair? And I don't want to say obviously, but you live in Ellensburg. So, the big question is, why does anyone live anywhere? So why do you live in Ellensburg? Which, no, it's a good thing. I mean, why? Yeah. Why do we choose to live where we live? So why are you living in Ellensburg? And what drew you to getting involved with the fair?
Great. Yeah. So I moved in Ellensburg in 1998. Moved here in high school. So after high school, went to Central and just stayed here in Ellensburg. And my family moved to the west side, Seattle area and Tacoma. And I stayed in Ellensburg because I like the small towns. So, but when I was at Central, I interned at the fair office and got to kind of see the behind the scenes, work in the office, work with the staff members, but then work with the board at the time. And so I actually came back 2 years after that. Like I went 1 year and then came back for another 2. So I loved working in that fair office, and then went to go work at Central after I graduated for about 15 years. And just, I heard about being able to apply to be on the fair board. And when I just wanted to be involved and see on that side of it, and interviewed and got in. So it was exciting.
And what did you major in at Central?
I double majored. I double majored in ITEM, Information Technology and Administrative Management, and Law and Justice. So wasn't sure what I wanted to do fully, and kind of halfway through my Law and Justice degree decided I don't think I'm meant to be a police officer. So I really liked the program though, and continued to finish that out, and then took on the ITEM, and that really kind of shaped my career at Central with working there and learning more about marketing, advertising, communications. So that was exciting to get that experience there. And then when I left Central a couple of years ago to work from home and do some things, I just continued to be on the fair board, and that a lot of people do think that's my full-time job, but it's not. It's a volunteer position, and but it's been fun to learn and try new things on the board.
So when you were growing up, were you involved, like farms, a lot of animals, things like that? So were you a 4-H kid? Were you like, I grew up in the city, so right. No 4-H here.
Right. Same here. I didn't grow up on a farm, and I have friends that were in 4-H and FFA, but I wasn't involved in the fair that way. Through high school, when I moved here, I did enter as an exhibitor. I entered in some art projects, some photography, and some baking. So that was kind of my involvement in our fair here. And previously, before I moved to Ellensburg, I was kind of the same at my old cities, or my old town's fair.
Okay.
So
All right.
just an exhibitor.
Okay. Well, now let's talk about like kind of like the history of the fair, because there's this. I'm confused, and I think my confusion's probably. Well, I hope I'm not the only one, because that'd be really embarrassing if I was the only person who didn't get it. But so I think people confuse the fair with the rodeo, and they think that they're the same thing. And as I'm realizing now, I think I'm wrong.
No, that's totally valid. But I mean, we happen the same time of, it's Labor Day weekend. And a lot of people, if you mention Ellensburg, they say, oh, the rodeo. We know about the rodeo. And it's a big deal. And we are a fair and rodeo town for Labor Day weekend. So, and last year we celebrated 100 years of the rodeo at the fairgrounds. And so a lot of people did think it was the 100th year of the fair as well.
Mm-hmm.
But it's actually, the fair's been going on since 1885. So it started before 1923, and they just created the fairgrounds for the rodeo and the fair to start happening in 1923. So 100-year celebration of the fairgrounds and the first buildings that were built there. But again, the fair's been going on before that, and some, it's pretty cool to say, we've been around that long, but we do work together with the rodeo board. The fair board and rodeo board are separate, but we have to work together for the Labor Day weekend.
That's actually really fascinating to me that the fair started back in 1885. Do you know where the fair took place physically in 1885?
I do. So if you know the exit to Ellensburg, we have two, right?
Right.
We have, so the one that's down by McDonald's, that interchange is where it used to take place.
Oh, really?
They had cleared out a bunch of land and made their space for people to bring in exhibits. There was no buildings constructed or anything like that. It was all outdoors. But it was out there. And then in 1923 is when the community came together and built the rodeo track. And the photos, if you go out to the history, like the library and the Kittitas County Historical Museum has a lot of great photos to show you of like the community building the fairgrounds and the grandstands and the first building for exhibits.
Okay. So yeah. I didn't realize that the freeway was there in 1880. No, I'm just kidding.
That space out there, that area off by 90.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. But I think if what little history I'm aware of here, I do think that the Yakima Canyon, the river down that way to Yakima, mm-hmm. that road was probably the road of access, yes. Between Yakima and Point South and mm-hmm. Ellensburg. And I don't know what, and that would have been a wagon. I mean, I don't know what there would have been going over the Cascades at that time. There was something, but not I-90. Okay.
Right.
So in 23, they moved to the new facility, mm-hmm. and I could just, ask you the question, what's changed in 100 years? But obviously a lot has changed. But as the fair continues to grow and evolve and modernize, I mean, buildings have to be replaced, buildings are updated, things like that. Mm-hmm. What's going on at the fairgrounds now that people might not be aware of? Like what's, and this is kind of a question to ask you both, what's current and maybe what's looking ahead a little bit. What are you guys working on to keep bringing the fair to people contemporarily? Because how do I want to say this? Ellensburg's a rural community. Like Wenatchee's a little similar, but not quite. Ellensburg has a different sort of makeup. In my mind, you have a lot of more ranching and things like that than we do. We have more mm-hmm. ag stuff. How do you make the fair viable to today's fair attendees? And what are you guys doing to make the fair a must visit event every year?
So I would say, every year we're looking to bring, new entertainment, new attractions. In the last few years, we brought in a brand new carnival company, Paul Maurer Shows out of California, that brought new carnival rides and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, but again, with the entertainment, trying to look at that. And when you buy a fair ticket, a lot of people say, like, I don't have a lot of money to really spend on whether it's carnival rides or other attractions. So the entertainment is included in your fair ticket admission. So there's the shows on the main stage, there's walkarounds, things like that. But also, our small county fair, it really is that we focus on the youth and the agriculture and the community, and our exhibitors for livestock and other groups. It's a big group of kids that are entering animals into the fair or their exhibits. And so our buildings house, I believe it's last year we had over close, it was the 100 years, so we had a little bit more, about 3,000 exhibits.
Wow.
And that includes photography, that includes artwork and things like baked items and crafts and stuff like that, flowers, like vegetables. So, and it would be great to say we have more buildings coming, that we could expand that. But at this time, there isn't a lot of room to grow on the fairgrounds. There is a master plan out there to expand north, but we are kind of limited in the space that we do have at the fairgrounds. But the two buildings that were originally built in 1923 and 1924, the Home Arts and the 4-H building, are our main exhibit halls. We do have more in the Armory building too. So a lot of people that do come to the fair, come to the rodeo as well, and their rodeo tickets get them into the fair, and they like to go see the rodeo and then walk around our barns and our exhibit buildings and see things like that. So, yeah, just trying to bring something for everyone. Not everyone wants to go to the rodeo. Not everyone wants to go see the animals. So having commercial vendors, concessionaires, the fair food, that's a big draw. Things like that. So.
Well, okay. Excellent. One of the things you mentioned was the fair changed ride vendors. So I had this, this mental image went through my head that the board of directors, and I'm joking, do not take me seriously, that the board of directors got on the Kittitas County Fair private jet and flew around the country to check all the vendors out that do rides for carnivals and fairs around the U.S. I know that's not true. I'm kidding. But how does one pick a vendor to provide rides? Do you?
Sure. Sure. Yeah, we had, we were with one company for years and years. And I do believe it was because they were, closer proximity. They all travel around the United States. But I think because we're through the county, there is the bidding process of, this is our budget, this is what we can do. And then our event center director and our fair board director that's in charge of Carnival, they work together to find the Paul Maurer shows that we're working with out of California. And they've brought such high-end rides and wide variety every year that it's been such a great change to the community. Was very happy with our decision as well. So, and they have such good deals on their ride bracelets as well for before fair. If you can buy the tickets before, you save money. So.
Okay. So I got to ask you, because I'm going to ask you this question, variations of the question a lot through this conversation. So here's the first variation of it. What's your favorite carnival ride?
Oh my goodness. So would you believe it if I told you that a bunch of us fair board directors, actually, it's not my favorite ride. They wanted us to go on a ride, and we went on the really tall drop, one that dropped. It's not as high as the one at the Puyallup State Fair, but it drops you down. So it raises you up and drops you. And we were like, let's go. And we went on it, and I will never ride that again. But I really like the carousel. Always gone on it with my kids, and it's
okay. That's
it's
a pretty big difference. A drop type ride and then a carousel. Boy, this has nothing to do with Washington State at all, but it is welcome to my mind. Many, many years ago, my daughter and my son lived with their mom in Cincinnati, and I went out to visit them one time, and there was a big amusement park out there. Okay. I can't remember what it's called, Kings Island or something like that. And my daughter wanted to go on, I think it was called the Drop Zone, which is that large, and this was 20 years ago or so, maybe more than 20 years. So this was when they were fairly new and exotic, right? And my daughter wanted to go on it. So she and her step parent stood in line for almost an hour to go on this ride, right? And her mom and I were standing off to the side watching people, and we'd watch people as they go sit down and then dropped and all this stuff. Okay. So my daughter's going to be she's in line now, and she's going to be in the next group. After this group that just boarded is done, she'll be getting on. So we're like paying attention now. And this has stuck with me. This guy sits down in the chair. You know how you sit down in the chair, right? And he had a prosthetic leg. And he took the leg off, laid it on the ground, went up, dropped, and put the leg back on. And I just, to this day, and I thought I had forgotten that story, but you just reminded me of it. There's no way you'd ever catch me going on that thing. So kudos to you. I'm a carousel
People take
fan.
off their shoes. They take off their shoes all the time. You know, they know what's going to.
Yeah, but a leg. The fact that he sat it there and he just laid it on the ground.
He was ready.
What?
He was ready.
Anyway, okay. So the rides have been kind of, we'll say, modernized, upgraded, and all that, and that's a huge draw. You're right. Kids love that stuff. I think the way we're going to go through this conversation is I'm going to ask you, put you on the spot the entire time. Your favorite things about each of these categories. So,
sure.
Exhibits. Yes. What's your go-to exhibit?
Oh, wow.
If you and I are walking around the fair, and I'm going to say to you, we're going to go wherever you want. Where are you going to take me?
Sure. I would probably start you out at the Armory, just because that's where the photography and the quilts get displayed at. And that is, quilts to me are just so beautiful, and the way they display them up there. And that building's a little away from the other two big main halls. The other two are amazing as well. So definitely going into Home Arts and the 4-H building to check out everything in there. There's the floriculture, people that, enter hundreds of their flowers from their gardens and their vegetables and fruit. So that's always neat to see. And the baked items, I love seeing those as well. And I remember when I would enter bread, like you have to enter it in a few days before fair so they can judge it. And then it's just on display. So it doesn't always look as good as when it's, that first day of fair. So first day of fair on Thursday, I always say, check out all the exhibits, because by Monday, some are not looking so
a little tired.
Yeah.
See, I think baked goods would do better. Like you'd get a lot of people if you had samples.
That's what I always say, because you have them on display, and I'm like, oh, they're just sitting there.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Nobody gets to eat that.
This pie is going to waste. I mean, come on.
So if you sign up to be a judge, then you really get to try. And then of course, then walking through the barns and seeing the animals, and there's always something happening in Bloom Pavilion with our 4-H, FFA, and Grange kids. They have the different departments, classes, and the big show for them is the livestock market sale that happens every Friday, every Labor Day weekend. And the community comes together there to support our kids. And last year, I think it was over $650,000 was raised for just buying animals at that sale for our kids. So it's a pretty cool event.
$650,000.
Yes.
Was raised.
All going back to these kids that are selling their animal at the fair. So
last year though, okay. Last year was the 100th anniversary of the rodeo, so there might have been a little bump.
Right, but the year before that, I think it was 600,000.
Okay.
So I mean, it's still
that's a lot. That's real money. So
yeah,
approximately how many animals were entered in the fair last year?
So that's the thing. 4-H, FFA, and Grange kids can enter. I believe it's a lot of them show two animals because you can only sell one at the market sale.
Okay.
So a lot of them are showing two pigs or maybe one pig, one steer. And so I think last year there was over 1,100 exhibitors entered, like for the fair. That includes kids for, the animals as well as people who don't enter animals. So, but yeah,
that's a lot. I mean, that's a really impressive number. Okay. All right.
Like I said, the community support is amazing. They come out and bid on these animals and support each kid that work really hard all year long to raise that animal.
So if you were put on the spot, livestock, what are you picking?
So I'm excited. I love to see all of them. I think one of my favorite barns though is, the sheep sheep and goats crack me up because they're always, trying to escape their pens or just eat their decorations. But last year the 4-H dogs came back. And so seeing the kids that brought their dogs to fair, that was pretty cool to see. And they do, because our fair is not big enough to house all the pre-shows of these animals. They have a pre-horse show that happens 2 weeks before fair, and then same with the dog show that happens before, because it's just too busy with all the barns full and everything to have that during fair. So I always tell people, like, check our website, check what's happening, go support the kids before fair, because it's not the same type of event during fair for them. They're just there to educate the public about their animals. Okay. So the dogs are going to be there again. And there's even cats, 4-H cats.
So somebody brings their barn cat in. I'm sure that...
Not barn cat, like house cats. I mean, maybe there are some barn cats, but there are kids that have house pets that enter that as their project. So
my dog would love to go. My cats would probably kill me on the ride there.
You got to enter them as exhibits, though, as a Kittitas County resident.
Yeah, but no, I'm saying that my cats are like, no, you're not putting me in the car. That's like, no, we're not going, and we're not social. We're not going to like any of this. But you said something, and I'm going to come back to this because my brain was going, You mentioned the sheep and the goats, and they're trying to escape. In your recollection, has there ever been a quote unquote jailbreak, and have any of the animals gotten out and run around the fairgrounds at all? I mean,
and I shouldn't say all of them because there's a lot. They're used to being in a pen, so they'll stay there. But I see some that definitely would love to walk around with you and get out of their pen, and they get out. The kids get to take them out, and in the mornings they're all there with barn duty and things like that throughout the day. But when I was an intern, we had a couple sheep that did get out, and but there's enough I don't know if you know this, but over 500 volunteers help at the fair during Labor Day weekend and leading up to as well.
Wow.
So throughout the year, you have your 4-H FFA Grange parents and leaders and superintendents. So there was a lot of people there to catch the. Okay.
But still, it would be kind of fun to see, just like, a pig running through the carnival area. It'd be like, no. So a couple more, thank you. You're just teeing me up with questions. So you said about 500 people are volunteering to put the fair on. And those 500 people are obviously all hands on deck. This year's the 29th of August through September 2nd. So those days are all hands on deck. Yes. But how early before opening day are people being, getting the fairgrounds freshened up, what's it take to prep the facilities for the public?
Sure. Great question. Yeah. We have, volunteers that are helping throughout the whole year to get decorations, things like that, ready for the fair. So they're working on it. And then usually August 1st is the day that we're, because it's an event center, fairgrounds. So things are happening year round there. But August 1st is kind of the day that we start to get into those buildings, start to really let's prep for fair. So, but you should see the grounds the week before, how many people are there, just, getting everything ready. And We do have a community volunteer day that we welcome people to come help with beautifying the grounds or getting some projects done in the barns, things like that. But I should say throughout the year, the 4-H FFA Grange leaders and parent volunteers are, helping the kids get ready and do all that as well. So it's a big community event that we get to do together.
Now, okay. So then you said, the board of directors, you're a volunteer, and I'm going to guess that August and September are probably the two busiest months for you with your duties.
Yeah. I mean, actually, I would say July and August. I mean, that's when we're pushing. I'm working with Menashtash Media this year for the first time, and it's been really helpful and exciting to help with pushing out social media marketing and advertising. But yeah, those are the months, trying to promote ticket sales, online ticket sales, and exhibitor entries, things like that. So it's really busy this month. And of course,
what does your job look like? Your volunteer job? What does your volunteer job look like during the off season? What are you like? Walk me through. Well, let's just say the fair is over and the facility's been secured, and we can all take a deep breath that we survived another year of the fair, right? All right. You might not want to think about the fair for a few days, so you can take a break. It's fair. That's not a bad statement. You probably put 16 hours in 4 or 5 days in a row. You're tired. You want to take a break. All right. It's September in Ellensburg. It's beautiful weather. It's a great time of year to, okay. Now, but next year the fair is showing, we've got 12 more months and the fair is there. Okay. So it's coming back. So what's the cycle that the board of directors works through on an annual basis to put this together?
Sure. Right. So right after fair, we do a recap board meeting where we all get to sit down, and throughout the fair, we have a list of, things that we want to remember to bring up and talk about, good, bad, and ugly, all that good stuff. So, but yeah, usually that week, a lot of people that are involved in the fair, we're exhausted, but because Ellensburg is Kittitas County we surround around the fair and rodeo. School starts right after that, so a lot of us have to get our kids out to school that week. So catching up on sleep that first weekend, and then the board of directors meets usually October and November, and then we take a little break in December, and then right in January we're back to once a month meetings until the summer when we start to meet twice a month, and August is every Thursday leading up to fair. So but yeah, it's usually once a month meetings that we're getting together and talking about the next year's plans.
Okay. So a couple of the draws from me at a fair, food that I can I'm not really going to go look at the pies because, like I said, if I can't try them, I mean, what's the point? But food, and it's always nice when there's live entertainment. So this year, is there anything new at the fair, food-wise?
Let's see, food-wise, I think she said there's going to be, I wouldn't say new, because they've been here before, but they haven't been in a few years. So it'll be exciting to have them back. But there's a burrito place out of Oregon that's coming up. They make really big monster burritos. But of course, the favorite, we got more than one vendor doing elephant ears. So
why are those so popular? I mean, they're good. Don't get me wrong, but they're disproportionately popular everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay.
And funnel cakes. That's
so. What's your? You're at the concession stand. I'm handing you my credit card. You can buy whatever you want. What's your go-to fair food?
So I would say I love a good baked potato. And so there is one group that does baked potatoes, loaded baked potatoes. And we have this amazing, it's this like cheese spread that they put on. And it's based out of Cleo and Hunter and Holden's cheese spread. And so this group buys that spread and uses that on their baked potatoes. So, I mean, fried food is always good, but that's something I can, if I'm hungry, working late,
right,
go grab a baked potato. What about you? What's your favorite food?
Boy, historically, so I have to go back. So I'm much older than you, and we talked about this on the phone. So my fondest fair memories. So I grew up it's always going to be the Appellate Fair to me. Sorry, it's just going to be the Appellate Fair. But I grew up, 7 miles or so away from the Appellate Fair. And when I was a kid, we all got a day off of school with a free ticket to the fair. So it was, okay, it was kind of, I think,
Yeah.
all right. And I always liked getting the Fisher scones, but back then they had raisins in them. And, through the years they have adapted. That's a nice word for shrinking. But I just remember as a kid, I really, really liked the fair scones. And I remember like my grandparents would go to the fair, they'd bring scones over to my house, right? Or we'd go to the fair and we'd take scones over to them. And it was my family kind of liked the scones thing. So I have a soft spot for scones historically in my memory. And I'm probably at the fair. Okay, the last time I went to the Chelan County Fair, I had some amazing tacos. Like, they were amazing. I was like, oh, where's this truck at, and where do I find it on a daily basis? Amazing. Like, they were great. But everything historically for me is through the Appellate Fair. They didn't have a lot of tacos back when I was a kid there. I mean, we had burgers and hot dogs and corn dogs and all those things. And so I'm probably a burger guy, but I'm not the fried onions on a fair burger. I like the smell of them, but I don't like the taste of them per se. So I'll probably pick a burger if I'm going to run around the fair that way. But I'm also going to be intrigued by things that I haven't seen before. So if somebody's deep frying butter or something, I'm probably going to try.
Right.
So
you can always count on something deep fried.
Yeah. So what, in your opinion, when you're walking around the fair and you're seeing all this fair food, and maybe that's not your thing, but like what sort of interesting things have you seen over the years show up from food vendors?
Sure. I remember one year a group did like fried apple fries or apple fries. So they would take fresh cut apples and coat them and then deep fry them, and had like cinnamon sugar and then some sort of caramel dipping sauce. And I was like, that is delicious.
And that didn't, I would think that would be a big hit.
Yeah. Well, and then I remember working in the fair office, they tried it because it's a small fair. They try not to have too many competing vendors.
Right.
They still do that. They want to make sure you're not selling all the Dippin' Dots. Like everyone has Dippin' Dots. So there's only one booth that does that.
Right.
But, so they brought in this group that wanted to do something different, and they do just, fruit dipped in chocolate. And so they were a big hit because nobody did that. And, so that was one thing. And I think it's still around, but, I think, I've seen deep fried Oreos, which we didn't have that at our fair for a while. I know Yakima did and some other fairs, but, I'm trying to think of some of the other.
I always just get a kick out of, the creativity that people have, they're, deep fried Snickers bars or like the chocolate dip fruit's kind of cool, except for when it starts to melt and then it becomes really, really messy.
Right.
You see a toddler running around with chocolate smeared all over their face going,
right.
Mm.
Well, that's the ice cream for my kids.
Yeah. But no, the fair, for me, the fair has always been a place where if you're dieting, you just give yourself a day of grace that day and just don't stress about it. Just go in and find something you like and enjoy it. And then go, because you're walking, you're going to get some exercise in. How's that? That's my rationalization.
Well, how about this? If you really want something that's not fried or anything, I don't know how you feel about pickles, but in our Frontier Village, which is a big draw for people, that we have a general store in there that you can go buy a big old pickle from.
Out of a barrel? Do they have them in the barrels like they used to have?
Basically, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can buy yourself some penny candy there as well, like really penny. Our kids go there and spend all their nickels and dimes. And my favorite is it's the Rocky Saddle Saloon, where you can get the root beer and it's the glass bottles. You get root beer and cream soda. So that's one of my favorite areas at our fair is Frontier Village.
Do they sell sarsaparilla?
I don't think so. It's just the cream soda. There's like black cherry and
It's kind of
root beer.
the old timey sodas that,
Yes.
and I still don't know what sarsaparilla is. So I was hoping maybe you could help me out with that, but it seems like a relative to root beer of some sort. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. So we've looked at the exhibits a little bit, snacked now, and we've already discussed that I'm not going on any rides. Especially after eating, just not going to do that. Right. What sort of entertainment are you guys going to have at the fairgrounds this year?
Yes, we, like I said, I'm excited that we have some new entertainers, but also, if you don't want to ride rides, or maybe you just don't want to spend the money on carnival tickets, we have free entertainment, free things for kids to do as well. And that's part of your admission. And so over by Frontier Village, which is all free in there, lots of activities in there. Outside of that is a kids area that's like meant for younger kids, kind of playing with water and some other things like that. And next to our kids ag zone, which is very interactive with like a farmer's market little booth. You can play farmer's market, or you're selling apples and things like that, or learning about growing corn and milking cows, things like that. And then we have our kids interactive area that's by our main gate. And there's different shows throughout the day where we have this, the kids tractor pull that they can sign up to do. Have you ever seen a show where it's a pedal tractor pull where they put in weight and these kids are racing to try and, get to the other end.
So the kids are pedaling on the tractors with added weight.
Yes. And it's really kind of cool to see, because the people that put that on are just so great with every age group. Even the littlest kid that really wants to try and beat their brother or something like that. But so it's fun to watch and cheer them on there. And that happens throughout the day, every day of the fair.
Okay.
So, and it's free for kids to do that. There's also a magic show that they put on when they're not doing the tractor pull. So kids, it's very interactive as well.
Okay.
And throughout the grounds, we have people that are walking through. We have a magician, we have a juggler, we have a hula hooper, some stilt walkers walking. I'm blown away that they can just walk around on those through crowds. Yeah. But new this year is a hypnotist show. We were able to catch, his name's Michael Mesmer, and he's coming on Sunday. And so he'll do one show, and hopefully next year we can have him for all 5 days.
Okay.
That is something that's, you just sit at the main stage, and he picks people from the crowd and puts on a show. And but we'll have live bands on that main stage throughout every day of the fair.
Okay.
And local groups, local favorites are Rodeo City Gymnastics, Dubstep Studio Dancers. Those are kids in our community that put on a show at our main stage. And then a big favorite that'll be back this year is our free mutton busting. Do you know what that is?
Free mutton busting?
Yeah. So kids can sign up and ride sheep. And it's like you're basically, they let you out of the gate and you see how long you can hold on. And these sheep are trained to, the people that put this on, the group that puts it on, they're a really great company that works with the kids and keeps their safety, top of the line. That's their priority, to keep them safe and the sheep safe. And so it's just an interesting event to watch these kids try and hold on to the sheep that are, not all of the sheep run out of the gate. Some just walk. And so
how old are the kids that are participating in this, typically speaking?
So I think the weight limit is 100 pounds or less. So they're younger kids.
Younger kids.
So, and they have helmet gear, like, it's kind of like they're in the rodeo, like, watching their.
That's exactly,
yeah.
My wife's niece's sons, whatever that, they're both early teenagers now, and they're both in rodeo, and they're riding bulls, and she's not constantly, but she's sharing very short videos of the rides, and So I'm thinking this mutton busting, and I'm kind of thinking it's a low risk version of that. Although, that's kind of funny. Okay.
Yeah.
So you've got that. I like that idea. I think the mutton busting would be kind of fun. I actually think that'd be kind of fun to go and watch and cheer the kids on. But you said they train the sheep. How do you train a sheep to do this? I mean, what on earth? Can you imagine the training regimen for this? I mean,
yeah, I'm not sure. And I would love to chat with them and find out more, because I know that these sheep are, they're traveling with them to different events and things like that. And, but again, you have some sheep that are like, all right, you open that gate, I'm going to run. And the others that just walk. And so some kids are, holding on, and others are just, going for a little ride. And it's a small pen area. Yeah, it's not like they're still having them ride them for a really long time.
That's awesome. All right. I like that.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about the fair and all of the things, so, I'm looking at the hour, so 10 a.m. So you're not starting super early. And you go into 10 or 11 p.m., except for on Monday it's over at 6. But because I have a feeling by Monday at 6, everyone's like, we're done. Like, I need a break.
Yes.
including all the exhibitors are done. The parents are done. We're all done, because Labor Day can still be pretty warm in Ellensburg. Yeah. But I had a couple of questions about admission, because when you're on the website, and I'm just going to go back. So who came up with the Kittitas County Fair 2024, Stars, Stripes, and Summer Nights? Who came up with that slogan?
Sure. So every year, we take them throughout the year. Anybody can send in a recommendation for a fair theme.
Okay.
And so we have a running list, and every year, usually in August, the fair board will go through the list, and we all vote on next year's theme. And then that theme is announced on Monday, the last day of fair for the next year.
Okay.
So that way the 4-H, FFA kids, like all of the Grange kids, can start prepping for the next year's fair theme, because they're decorating barns, decorating buildings based on that theme.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So I can't get you to tell me what next year's is, because this will go out. That'd be spoiling.
We haven't voted yet. So we have like over 100 that we go through, and then we try and look at the other fairs, and we don't know when they're going to announce theirs, but
you don't want to copy. You don't want to have the same slogan as the Saline County or the Grant County, or you gotta. Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Admission looks pretty straightforward, actually. Got general admission, 13 and over, unless you're a senior, $10. Seniors, and you're generous. Seniors are 60 and over. I qualify. I can get a discount. $6. Kids 6 to 12 are $6. Under 5. Are dogs allowed in free? Bosley wants to know. I don't know if you could hear him bark there. Bosley wants to know.
No dogs unless they're service animals.
No dog. You gotta stay.
Just because we have animals, livestock there, we wouldn't, No, we do like to say that though. No pets.
Right. So, but I like the fact that you guys have a season pass. You have this discounted season pass, $30 for all 5 days.
If you're gonna go a few more days, then it's worth it to buy that. We also say though, as a Kittitas County resident, if you plan to go more than a couple days, if you enter at least one thing into the fair as an exhibitor, you get the option to buy the $15 exhibitor bracelet for all 5 days. So,
oh wow! Okay.
Find those photos you took, and look at our exhibitor guide, because you can start entering August 1st online, and there's hundreds of things to choose from to enter. So
that's very cool. Okay.
Now, but also I want to mention the last day of fair, it's half off admission, so you can come on that day if you maybe are gone for the weekend and you come back and you want to go check out the fair. They, like you said, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. on that Monday is half off. So
okay. I'm kind of looking through some of the photographs here. I see the penny candy thing. All sorts of.
Frontier Village it's pretty amazing to go if you've never been. That's our valley's history of buildings that were donated from families across the valley. There's, like I said, the general store. There's a writer's cabin. We have somebody who comes in and does blacksmith work throughout the weekend there, so you can see that. And then, it's
so these are actual
cool area, and pan for gold.
So I'm looking, there's a photo here of a building that on the front of it says District Number 11. So that's an original building that was moved to Frontier Village. So it's not a replica. These are Oh, very cool. All right.
Yeah, they built this they started to build Frontier Village in the 1980s. So they started finding different buildings, and then they've kind of added. So it's really neat to hear the history, and all the volunteers in there, and each building will tell you, their stories of whether it's from their family or from people, they've been volunteering in that Frontier Village for years. So it's just awesome to have them.
That's very cool. I saw something, and I'm trying to find it now. This is where we get dead air in a podcast. So, where did I see? There was some, and I don't want to misspeak. So I'll look while we talk about something else. What about parking? Parking is always a pain.
Yeah.
What about parking? How are you guys handling parking? And approximately, how much attendance did you have last year?
So last year, roughly between 65,000 to 70,000 people came for the full weekend.
Wow.
So that's spread out. Our busiest days are Friday and Saturday. Mm-hmm. Saturday being because we have the Ellensburg Rodeo Parade happening. So a lot of people come for that and go to the fair and rodeo after that. So because rodeo happens Friday to Monday, that's kind of, busy days. And then you also have the extreme bull riding event Saturday evening. So there's 2 rodeo events happening that day on Saturday.
Right.
So, but parking, so locals know this, and the city goes around and covers all the residential parking zone permit, so that all the city streets surrounding the fairgrounds become available for parking if you don't want to pay. But those fill up very fast because a lot of, the 4-H FFA Grange parents and people park, early on so they can get to the fairgrounds. But so if you can't find free parking, we do offer lots. This year, near the closest lots to the fairgrounds run about $20 for the day. And then all of the lots that are north of the fairgrounds throughout Central Washington University that we contract with them run about $10. So, and that's for the full day. So it's not come and go. If you leave, you do lose your spot, but pretty much it's not too far. We also run shuttles though, parking golf cart shuttles. So you can wait at the front of your lot and get a ride to the front gate.
Perfect. So the thing that I was looking for earlier I couldn't find is you guys have a scholarship program.
Oh yes. So that's through our Friends of the Fair Foundation. Yeah. And that is, they do offer 3 scholarships, and that is awarded every year. Like I said, through our nonprofit Friends of the Fair Foundation.
Okay.
So,
and what the scholarships?
But we also,
what age group are the kids available and all of that?
Oh, right. So it's open to high school seniors that are looking to go to the to college afterwards, and so
we had a Bosley emergency. Everybody had to let Bosley out.
Sorry about that. Right. So it is, like I said, it's open to high school seniors that are.
Okay.
We look at their kind of eligibility, meaning that they're like going to a university or vocational tech school.
Okay.
And then applications are submitted, and the Friends of the Fair Foundation board will pick three students up from the applications, and looking at it's all anonymous. We don't see names that come through. We just, they get to see, what their involvement in the fair and the community and things like that.
Okay.
So,
all right. So now I got to ask you a couple of questions, and some of these might be a little hard. Okay. You ready? Tell us something about the fair that only locals know that somebody who's thinking about coming out to Ellensburg on Labor Day weekend, yes, and maybe they already think about the rodeo because that, the Ellensburg rodeo, but something that only locals know about the Kittitas County Fair.
I don't know if they want me to say that.
I told you it was going to be kind of hard.
Yeah. I mean, I will say Thursdays, I don't want everyone rushing to come on Thursdays, but Thursdays are a great day to go to the fair. And I think a lot of locals, that's what they like to do, because that's before rodeo starts, where you get all the big crowds coming, and it's still busy,
right?
But it's also Super One Foods, our grocery store, one of our local grocery stores here. They do a lunch that day. And so you can buy a discounted ticket at their grocery store to go on Thursday.
Okay.
So, but yeah.
Okay.
So that's
right. Well, we're not going to look. We're not going to tell which grocery store. We're going to keep that for the locals. You just have to figure it out, folks. I can start naming grocery stores in Ellensburg for you, but we're not going to. Okay. All right. I warned you about this question when we talked on the phone, but now you're live, and now you got to try to put me on the spot. So I like to ask people that are businesses, what was this great idea? We were going to do this, and it was going to be a smash. It was going to be so successful, except for, whoops, it wasn't. Because I think we always learn from those experiences. In your time with the fair, have you guys ever had an idea? Like, I don't know. Did something sound really good on paper and not in reality?
Yes. So, coming out of COVID, we didn't do a fair in 2020. And so that was coming back. We had to change a lot of things to, open our gates again. And we offered, for the 2021 fair, it was called Blast Pass, which was cashless for our concessions.
Okay.
And that was something, nobody had ever done at our fair. And we launched it, and it was not well received at all.
Not well received, huh?
We have not since brought that back. It was, a lot of community feedback.
What was why did the community not like it? What was the feedback that you received?
I think, so many people hearing cashless, they just could not get behind the fact that they wouldn't be able to use their cards, which in reality, if you've ever been to a cashless park or system anywhere, like, you're still using your cards. You're just having to go get another card, or whether it's an app or something like that. So It is an added step, but that was a big thing that I only have cash, which we did have people that could, use your cash to buy the card, but they did not want to do that. So I think it was when we started to plan and figure things out and try and, see the benefits to using the Blast Pass, it just didn't pan out the way we had talked about and planned.
Well, and as we get further and further away from the pandemic, and as it blurs in our memory, hopefully because we're blocking it out, because it's like, oh my gosh, I won't think about it. But a lot of us had to do things, try things, because there wasn't a manual to, like, this is how you open up a fair after a pandemic. This is how you open up a restaurant after a pandemic. We had to adapt, and we're trying to figure things out on the fly. And I think a lot of people, we bumbled the transition from lockdown to post-pandemic life. Okay. All right. What are you super excited about for we'll bury that. No, I mean, we're just going to move on. Happy times. Now,
no more Blast Pass.
What are you super excited for this year?
I think I'm always excited to just see the community and the support and all the decorations and things that people have been working on, exhibits they enter, but just, leading up to, I see everything getting put together, but it's the opening day. everything's in place. Everyone's, where they're supposed to be, and whether it's showing animals or, in the buildings or serving food. I just love walking around and getting to like see that and talk to people. And since this will be my 8th fair on the board.
Okay.
So I get to see returning vendors and returning, of course, volunteers and everyone, but it's fun to see that and talk to people and
opening day,
hear all the good things that opening day.
Opening day. All right. So when you're not in meetings about the fair, when you're not putting in a 16-hour day on fair day, when you're living your normal day-to-day, you live in Ellensburg life. Very important questions now. I love coffee. Where should I go in Ellensburg for coffee?
I mean, there's some great coffee shops, and I don't drink as much coffee as I used to, but when I was drinking it every day, I was drinking D&M has a Clausen, which is their Americano with their homemade caramel sauce. So that's my go-to drink, iced Clausen. But I now drink Lotus flavored drinks from a place called 1883 Coffee. Okay. So they have great coffee as well. But
okay. Yeah. So the Clausen, do you know, not that you're a D&M representative, but how did it get its name?
So I hear that it was created by one of their baristas. I think her name was Amy Clausen, okay. I want to say. So, and if I got that wrong, I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
I'm pretty sure that's the story.
But I also have this vague recollection that isn't there a Clausen building in downtown Ellensburg? Isn't one of the old buildings named Clausen? I could be completely wrong. So don't, that's okay. All right. So coffee. So you liked Americano with a little caramel, but now you're drinking these Lotus drinks, and those are they tea based?
No, they're like it's like an energy drink, but it's not as strong as like I can't do Red Bull or Monsters or anything. So it's a plant-based type energy.
Okay.
So.
All right. Another thing, now when we're not eating fair food, where's a great place for lunch in Ellensburg?
So I really like, if I want a sandwich, I'm going to go to Daily Bread because they make homemade breads there and they have really great options for different sandwiches and wraps and homemade soups. But if I want a good burger, it's got to be the Tab. So that's one of my go-to for burgers. So.
Oh my gosh. I'm not laughing at you. That's not a laugh at you. Man, that place has got it has brainwashed thousands of people. I don't mean that in a mean way. It's like my old college roommate, his father lived in Walla Walla and he lived in Seattle, and they would meet to go to lunch together, and that's where they would go. I'm just like a lot of my other friends, same thing, go there. I mean, and they've had that reputation for at least since 1980, because that's when I started at Central in 1980. So I mean, it's 44 years. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Right. Well, if you need a good brunch spot too, I'm not sure if you've been, but the Early Bird is right around the corner.
I've eaten at the Early Bird too. I like that place a lot. And I like the Tab. I mean, I like the Tab too. Who doesn't like the Tab? That's what I'm laughing at. It's just this.
Right.
It's just like, geez, I shouldn't have. I mean, I guess I should have made a bet with myself to see if you would have said the Tab or not. I would have, probably the odds are that people would say. It's so funny to me. It's so funny to me that the Tab is just, I swear, I'm kidding, but I swear like the owner's like going, here, mention me for free burger. I'll give you a super mother, mention the Tab.
I'm going to send him this podcast.
Oh my gosh. All right. So then the last question I always ask my guests, and now we're going to tie this into the fair a little bit, because you said you like the exhibits, and you mentioned, and I mentioned that, I think some of the exhibits, the baked goods would go over better if there were samples, right? And not that they don't go over well, but I'm just saying, I mean, could you imagine the lineup to sample the number one apple pie in the fair? Okay. All right. So you have to answer this question. Okay. And you have to give me a reason too, by the way. This is the only question you will ever be held accountable to on the show. All right. You ready?
Okay.
Cake or pie, and why?
Goodness, I can't say both.
No, you
Right,
can't.
I like pie.
Pie. All right. Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
Pie.
Yes.
Okay. Why? Why are you picking pie? Why are you excluding cake? I'm kidding you. I'm teasing you. But why? Why pie? Why did pie win?
Because I like different kinds. Like I like almost all different kinds of pies. Whereas cake, I'm just like one flavor.
Okay.
So I think, and I like to bake too. So I like baking pies.
You like to bake pie. So what? If you were baking pie, what's your go-to? What do you like? What are you an apple? Or are you a
usually an apple pie?
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
apple pie, but I love cherry pie too.
Okay. Ice cream, yes. Ice cream, no. That's optional.
Yes.
Okay.
Vanilla ice cream
Okay.
on top.
All right. So we've got pie, we've got apple, we've got ice cream. Okay. I love asking that question because, like you said, can I have both? No. Some people, you didn't deliberate very long. Some people are like, it's this and it can't be that. I mean, they're very adamant, like just, and then some people are like, I have 2 children. You're asking me to pick one. I just, okay. All right. What about the fair? What didn't we talk about that we should have? Did we overlook something?
Oh, I mean, we're 38 days away from opening
At the
day,
time we're
so
recording this, we're 38 days away. It'll be less than that when we go live, and less than that when you listen to it, audience. So,
right.
August 29th.
So I'm just, countdown.
August 29th through September 2nd for 2024. Kittitas County Fair.
Yes.
At the Kittitas Valley Event Center. That throws me. The Kittitas Valley Event Center thing throws me.
Right. Because they're, year round.
Right.
They have events at the fairgrounds
year
round. So, and they're Kittitas Valley Event Center, and we can say the Kittitas County Fair. It's the home of the fair and rodeo.
Got it. So. All right. We covered it? You think we got it?
I think so. I just want to thank all our fair sponsors and volunteers and board members to help put it on. So
500 volunteers.
So.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Right?
That's crazy to me.
It's awesome.
I do have one question. To enter a photograph, a quilt, a pie, a cake, an animal, do you have to be a Kittitas County resident?
Yes.
Okay. So the only people that can enter exhibits in the fair are from Kittitas County.
Correct.
Okay. Reason I'm bringing up that very specific question is early on when we talked about food, you said there was a food vendor from Oregon. And I was like,
yep. So we have vendors and commercial and concessions. So people that, can apply to be vendors at the fair. And then same with entertainers come from all over. We have some entertainers that are out of Colorado, Florida. So, but as an exhibitor, you have to be a resident.
Okay. So should have asked this question. Actually, I think it's better we're asking it now. So when you're not working on the fair, what do you do?
So I work from home, and I just recently started my own mobile cotton candy cart business. I won second place at our Chamber's Enterprise Challenge for New Businesses, and that just happened in May. So I'm a brand new business working on that and trying to get that off the ground, and have already done some events, and so it's fun. And it's funny because when I say that, people are like, "You're on the fair. Are you gonna do your cotton candy at the fair?" And I'm like, "Nope." We have a great vendor that does cotton candy. She brings her cotton candy truck, and I don't think I could keep up with that type of demand with my little cart that I built for weddings and birthday parties and parades, things like that.
So you built the cart. All right.
I did, with the help of my husband and a couple friends. We built this little cart that I can pull on a trailer, and I have an umbrella that I put in. I have to say too, my cotton candy is not the fair cotton candy that you see. It's all natural flavoring with no added colors or So no added dyes and preservatives. It's a big white cotton candy puff of,
So that's
one of my favorite flavors. And
so that's spun sugar, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're spinning sugar and you're flavoring it naturally, so it's not that artificial pink or artificial blue. I mean, cotton candy is awesome, don't get me wrong, but there's those very bright specific colors. So you're flavoring it with natural flavors. Give me an example of a flavor.
Mm-hmm. So I order these flavor extracts from this company in California that's all natural flavors, and I have about 12 different flavors, but a real number one hit has been coconut, surprisingly, and root beer. We have key lime, cherry. Orange creamsicle was another favorite too. So people are surprised. They see a big white puff and the flavor is not overpowering. But I love doing my mobile cart outside, and sugar smell, like everyone smells it from far away and comes.
How did you get the idea to do a cotton candy business?
Sure. So when I left working at the university after 15 years, I needed something that was going to be fun, and I love being creative and doing things like that. So I saw an idea on Instagram of a lady doing this in Tennessee, and I'm like, I'm doing that. And so kind of had been planning, and just it didn't work out until this last January, when I'm like, I'm going to enter this competition and I'm going to just go for it. So, but it's been so much fun, and my plans are to expand to offer other options besides cotton candy, like frozen drinks, popcorn, just because I have the cart built and it can, house other things. So not just cotton candy.
Okay. Very cool. And so we're not going to see you at the fairgrounds. You're not going to.
I won't have my cart there, but I will be there working at the fair, and I hope if somebody sees me there and
say hi,
chat.
Well,
I will be there every day.
That's very cool. So for the cotton candy business, are you keeping it in Kittitas County primarily? Or are you, what?
I am, but I'm open to traveling outside. Actually, I'm going to be going to Ephrata shortly and doing a birthday party there. So I'm open to travel.
Very cool. And all right, so specifically for your cotton candy business, where can people find out more about that?
Yeah, on my Instagram or Facebook right now, it's Cherry on Top Cart Company.
Cherry on Top Cart Company.
Be launching.
Okay.
Yes, we'll be launching soon.
Cool. And that's a really cool thing. So where should people go online and look for the Kittitas County Fair?
At KittitasCountyFair.com. If you go there, and you'll check out all the different menu options for different areas that you can learn more about.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. This was kind of fun. The cotton candy thing is very cool. That's very cool. I'm excited. I actually think I say this with some hesitation, because it seems like every time I say I'm going to go do something this summer, something has stopped me. So my intention is to physically make it to the Kittitas County Fair. And I'm probably going to take your advice, and I'm going to try to do Thursday, because the Labor Day weekend traffic, I'll pass. Yes. But I'm excited to see the fair. I probably haven't been to that fair since maybe 1982. So I'm going to guess some things have changed.
Yes, and I will show you around. Let me know.
I will let you know. That'd be fun. That would be fun. So thank you very much for taking the time, and I hope that this year is a smashing success. And I hope you have fun with the cotton candy business too.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Hope you enjoyed the show. You can reach me on Twitter at Explore Wa State. I'd love to hear your comments. You can also visit our website at explorewashingtonstate.com. If you know anyone who would like the show, it'd be amazing if you'd share the show with them. This is the biggest way that we grow this show. Good old word of mouth. I'm glad you were here with me today, and I hope to have you listening to the next episode. See you then.